So last time I asked you guys if you wanted me to review the MCU, and you guys lit up every answer with a yes. So now I guess it's time to review the MCU. But before we start, I want to set some rules. For the MCU, I will be going in release order for the movies, because you cannot review the MCU without going in order. Which means we're going to go from Iron Man 1 all the way to Far From Home, or Black Widow, or whatever will come whatever. At the end of the series, I will be ranking every movie from worst to best. Also, it is extremely difficult to talk about a Marvel movie without spoiling it, so I'm not even going to try. Just know that these Marvel reviews will be spoiler filled. So if you don't want anything spoiled, do not watch these reviews of the MCU. So with all that being said, let's review our first movie, Iron Man 1. Now, Iron Man 1 is actually not that bad. It's pretty decent. Now, the stuff that I like about this movie is pretty common with everyone else's opinions. First of all, Robert Downey Jr. is the definition of Tony Stark, because his performance is just perfect. Not only that, but the character development is great too. Tony coming back to America as a changed man with courage, but still has his jackass personality, is perfect. And the reason why this works so well is because it makes him more unpredictable, which makes him more interesting and entertaining. I also really like the performances from the other characters too, most notably the actress who plays Pepper Potts. I forgot her name, leave me alone. I also like how Coulson is utilized quite a bit in this movie, even though he barely has any development. Everyone in this movie has something to do with helping Tony and his struggle, even when some of those characters have something at stake as well. And not only that, the characters all have great chemistry with each other, and it just makes the movie more enjoyable and interesting.
It's completely harmless. I didn't expect that.
Now, the first act of this movie is basically an escape from captivity after Tony gets kidnapped by a bunch of Afghanistans. And I actually really like this chunk. I am completely on board with this first act. I also love how it takes Tony a long time to get back to America, because it fills you up with so much anxiety over time and gets you hyped for the actual escape. And after the first act, it becomes clear that the people making this movie know their shit, unlike some movies. Tony is an asshole in the comics because it's just his personality. That personality never really goes away, but when it's time, he becomes a real hero, willing to do whatever it takes to save people. I like how the romance between Tony and Pepper is held off until the next movie. And this is because the movie is about Iron Man, not Tony and Pepper. This movie chose to wait for his romance and bring his character into the spotlight, which was a wise decision. Marvel movies are bad when they are either boring, predictable, or forgettable. This movie surpasses those things in the first two acts, because most of this film has the opposite issues that the others have in Phase 1.
Kill power.
However, in all fairness, I am now going to have to go over the issues that I have with this movie. Now, I have to say that there are multiple problems with this film, but all those issues tie back to one character, Ironmonger, aka Obadiah Stane. The entire third act of this movie is horrible because of this one person. This one guy ruined it. Now, this guy is the reason why this movie is only decent. One of the reasons why is because it feels like he was just thrown in at the last minute, and it really feels that way. Not only did he feel rushed, but having him as the movie's main villain is really unnecessary. The reason as to why is because we already have the Afghanistans that kidnapped Tony earlier in the movie. They were reason enough to be the movie's bad guys, while Tony had to avoid the US military and risking his identity as Iron Man. This would be a great movie if it was like that, but it's not. Monger doesn't even have a realistic plan for what he's doing. He says that he wants Tony's company, but then he tries to kill Tony and others out in public, whilst causing damage to the city. What the fuck are you doing?
It's impossible. Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave!
So, as my points are redressed, I like Tony as a character, and I feel very satisfied with Downey's performance. The side characters are very likable, and they all play an important part in their own little ways. The first two acts play an important part for Tony and his development, and then we have the main villain who drags down this movie very hard. This movie falls because of the Ironmonger bullshit. But even though there are many problems with this movie, it is still fun to watch for the most part. So I am going to give Iron Man 1 a 6 out of 10. It's okay.